And I thought my life was ending, because when you're so young, you're so sensitive to changes. They'll run out of money and the world will not move forward. It will go backwards. So if I just put that boundary up when I first meet a guy, if they really, really like me, then they have to work for it.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of the podcast in partnership with Najahi Events. Now, have you ever thought about taking your company public, having an IPO? That sounds quite daunting, doesn't it, if you run a small business? Well, today's guest cares very much about that particular subject and has started a company and now helps businesses get their companies floated on the stock market. Now, that might sound like a bit of a grand and very corporate thing to do, but lots of small businesses suffer. They struggle. They don't know how to get capital into that business, or if they do, they have to give a huge amount of equity away. Our guest today will show you that that doesn't matter, and you can avoid those pitfalls by following what she teaches. Saba Yussouf studied at Cass Business School, then went on to Ernst Young. She's had a stellar career. She's a really smart businesswoman. Let's welcome her onto the show. Thank you to Najahi Events, who have been sponsoring us now on the podcast for over a year. Najahi bring motivational speakers to the region to help inspire, educate, and motivate you to achieve better success and live a better life. Saba Yussouf.
Yes.
On the Spencer Lodge podcast.
Yes.
Now,
finally.
I want to come on your show. Let me come on your show. We're going to come on your show.
Hello, don't make me sound like a loser. I only asked you once. Once.
And somebody else asked on your behalf as well.
Oh, yeah.
But you're here
I
now.
asked her to ask you.
Well, you're here now.
You should take it as a compliment.
Absolutely. I do
your
take it as a
podcast.
great compliment. You love my podcast?
Yeah.
What was your favourite episode?
Honestly, most of the episodes I like because of you, if I'm being honest. Because I think the way you bring out the personality in your guests is a talent. You're very funny, which I already told you.
I'll take that.
And I like your humor. I like your Essex humor. So it makes your podcast more viewable and more engaging than perhaps another. It's not actually about the guest.
Interesting.
You know?
No one's ever said that to me before.
You're welcome.
Not in that way, so I'll take that as a
You're welcome.
lovely compliment. Thank you. Okay, let's take it from the top then.
Yeah.
You and I met on a boat,
Yes, on Jimmy's boat.
and we were out there for a Mind Valley networking event, I suppose we would call it, more than anything else.
Yeah.
And I got to know a few people, some weird and wacky people I remember getting to know. There was a guy called Shaft who was,
Remember him?
what's he into? Women's sexual energy or something like that. And so he was there, and he was a bit shocking getting to know him. But there were great people on there as well. And
Yes.
and he's lovely too. So it's not like he's not a nice guy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The one dressed like a hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a bit weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
But nice guy.
I hope he's
Nice
listening to
guy.
this.
Whenever I insult someone, I say after, but nice guy.
Yeah, he was
Nice
nice.
guy.
Yeah.
Cover
He
my
did.
ass.
I really liked him in a quirky kind of way.
Yeah. Who else did you meet that day?
Well, obviously, Sadia, which was wonderful to meet her.
She's amazing.
And I'm really bad with names, but I met quite a few people. Obviously, Barista was on there, Vision, and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and people that we knew.
Yeah. It was amazing.
But it's just nice to. I'm not a great fan of networking.
Yeah, me neither.
You know, I don't like going into an environment where I don't know people. One to one, fine, no problem at all. But when it's you know, a group of, if I'm on stage, that's different. But if I'm actually in a room and I've got to go and get to know people, I'm the guy that's in the corner looking at my phone, pretending to be busy writing emails.
So I'm the same. That's why I was in the corner with you, chatting to you, because I also don't like big crowds. I don't like talking to a lot of people at the same time. I don't like meeting people that I don't know. And people from the outside think that I'm this extroverted character. It's so far from the truth. I think I'm a severe introvert, but over the years I've trained myself on how to be comfortable in large crowds, but it's not my choice. I'm most comfortable when I'm one-on-one or one-on-two. That's it.
What do we need to know about you and your journey so that we can understand where to start from today?
My journey is I am trying my best in life to disrupt things any way possible for the betterment of the planet and society.
Why?
And I've almost dedicated my life to it. I'll tell you why. When I graduated from university, first of all, I wanted to study history, and I wasn't allowed because I come from quite a conservative Pakistani family in the sense that you do what you are told and you stick to the rules. And I respected my parents for that because they invested a lot into my education. So I wasn't allowed to do what I wanted at university. Then I worked at Ernst Young for 2 years. Again, that was my dad's wish. Then I had to go into the family business, and I wasn't happy. So I disrupted my life. And because I did it, I thought, hold on, I can do more. I can disrupt more, and I can show other people how to disrupt their life. Life doesn't have to be hard, but we're almost conditioned to think that it is. And that is my mission, to just show people that it doesn't have to be. There's always an answer for everything. And if you think outside the box, I think you can get there. So why not get a helping hand in that? That's what I'm here for.
So where in your past or your childhood or on your journey is there a significant event or a series of events that's led you to being what you want to be today?
Oh my God, where do I start? I mean, when I was 13, my parents got divorced. And then, like I said, I'm from a Pakistani family where this is super frowned upon. It's just not done in our society. Even though my parents are British, they were raised in London, it's still not the done thing. It was really hard for me to digest because my sister had just been born 2 years prior. I was starting my GCSEs. My house was falling apart. I would sort of run away from home during the days and go study in the library or go to the mosque and just sit for some peace of mind. And I felt lost. And I thought my life was ending because when you're so young, you're so sensitive to changes. And young people, they need a family unit. Even if it's a bad one, they need to know that their mum and dad are under the same roof. So to break that unity and safety was particularly difficult for me. I wasn't expecting it. So everyone was fighting and it was a very tumultuous divorce. I think it took my parents 5 years to get divorced. Wow. It was hard. I had my little sister. I was concerned about her. She needed attention. She needed time. I was trying to do my GCSEs. And when the divorce was finalized, everyone was at war. This one, my aunt was not talking to this one because my dad said this and my mom said this, she did this. And I thought, hold on, this is not going to work for me because this will be my downfall. My family was always my strength. So it took me 10 years to blend my family back together. And I mean, even the periphery of the family, the extended family, everyone. I made everyone friends again. And most importantly, I made my parents be able to co-parent and coexist because I needed that for my sister and I. And I took it upon myself at the age of 15, 16 to make this happen. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. But now we travel together, we respect each other, everyone's forgiven each other. We found a way to make it work. And I just have no regrets. But it was the hardest thing to do. It's the equivalent of, metaphorically, putting a broken family in a room and locking the door and not unlocking it until everyone has said their piece, forgiven each other, made up with each other, hashed it out, and just been honest. And it's hard for Pakistani people in their mid-40s to go to therapy and try talking about their feelings. It was really hard, but it was non-negotiable for me. So I think that is the first way I disrupted something major in my life, and it definitely shaped me.
Were you emotional?
I was very emotional, honestly. And year by year, I feel I'm becoming less emotional. I'm still emotional inside, but year by year, I feel myself showing emotions less. And I don't know if that's because of some triggers or some traumas from my past, but I'm aware that it's happening, but I don't know how to change it. I would love to show more emotion. I just don't know how. But it could be what happened in my childhood that has forced me to be this way, or it's allowing me to close off a bit more as I get older.
What was your relationship like with your mum?
It was very tough. I was always closer to my father. And my sister was closer to my mother, which I was happy about. There was no competition or anything like that, but we always clashed. It was always an abrasive relationship, and that's also something that I thought I could fix, and I did. Again, it took 10 years. Now we're best friends. You know, I think mothers also mellow with age. And I've seen that. So her mellowing and my intention to fix our relationship is the only reason why we've got where we are today. Now we're best friends. We speak on the phone 10 times a day. She takes so much care of me. But I didn't have that when I was growing up.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I think my mum is a great person. We just didn't click. We just didn't bond. And I think it's important that you don't blame the other person for it, because then you can never have a relationship with a parent that you're going through this with. You have to just forgive and try to build. It's never too late to rebuild a fractured relationship with a family member.
And what about your relationship with your dad?
It's amazing. My dad is
Back to your childhood.
My dad is my bestie. I mean, I was the apple of his eye. He was my savior in life. He was the male figure in my life who protects and provides for me. He still is, to be honest. And we are best friends. And when my parents got divorced, I chose to live with my father for two reasons. A, my mother and I weren't getting along too well. B, I couldn't leave him alone. You know, he left the house. He had to build a new house and build a home and create a life for himself. And I chose to be the woman to do that. So it's strange because sometimes I'm his daughter, sometimes I'm his wife, sometimes I'm his mother. I fill all these roles, but this is just how we have morphed into, over the years, our quirky relationship. But we're best friends. And, I trust him more than anyone in my life.
You talked about trauma. So if you go back and think about trauma, where do you think you experienced trauma?
I think it was from the day I was born, to be honest.
I'm sure everybody else experienced trauma since
it's
you
tough.
were born.
You're not wrong. But I'm worth it. But everyone experiences childhood trauma. Even if you had that perfect childhood, which is amazing. I mean, everyone experiences trauma. From years 0 to 7, it's when you're most susceptible. It's when your brain is most susceptible to feeling things, understanding things, exploring things, and learning things. So that is when you're so sensitive. And even if your teacher tells you you're so bad at math, that can actually instill trauma in you that can affect you later in life. So mine was a severe case, but I think even happy kids absorb some kind of trauma. It's ironic because you're born, you experience childhood trauma, then you spend the rest of your life trying to fix that trauma, and then you die. That's how I see life sometimes. But some people don't want to fix it, which is a shame.
I'm sure a lot of people don't know how to fix it. They just live with it. And it rears its ugly head every now and then, and they try and bury it and keep going, don't they?
Right.
So you get yourself a decent education.
Yes.
Daddy wants you to do certain things, and so upon his advice, you do that.
Yeah.
What was the first job you had, professional job you had, where you felt, this is me?
Did I tell you the story before in Ernst Young?
Nope.
Oh my God.
I know
you really have done your research. Who have you been talking to? So I graduated from Cass Business School and I went to Ernst Young. I got a postgrad placement there on the international tax desk. So I was busy creating complicated tax structures to save rich people from tax. And I was really good at it. And I'm a nerd, so I would go home and read these thick tax books and find new loopholes and new ways to save my clients $10 million more. And I loved my job and I worked really hard at it. And I also care about looks and appearance, and I feel it's respecting yourself if you look your best, and I wanted to look my best at work. So there was one turning point, which was one meeting I had with a client. And usually juniors don't get to go to client meetings. We just, sit in the back and we're unseen. The partner took me to the meeting and I sat there and I didn't say anything and no one asked me anything. I didn't do anything in the meeting. We left the meeting and my partner said, "Great job, Saba. Great, great job." I said, "What do you mean? I didn't do anything. Why did you even bring me to this meeting?" He said, "Oh, I needed him to sign the check for next year's fees and you look good. So that's the only reason I brought you to the meeting." And I just burst into tears. I just started crying. I was 21. I was a baby. I didn't understand life. I didn't know how things work. I didn't understand the birds and the bees and all this and manipulation and how men think, how women think, how men use women, how women use men. I didn't know anything. I was naive. I hadn't even had my first real boyfriend at 21. And I went home to my dad and I said, Dad, I'm quitting. I can't do this. I'm leaving. Can you believe this man said this to me? I'm so offended. He said, baby, because he calls me baby. He still calls me baby. He said, you're a woman. This is going to happen to you for the rest of your life. Get over it. Get used to it and go back to work tomorrow. And I just woke up. I was like, oh, this is life. And I just made some changes, some important changes into how I conduct myself at work, how to keep things professional, how to install boundaries between myself and men in the workplace. And I just took it from there. Yep.
And when you look back on that, did you think you did the right thing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm glad I didn't quit. I'm glad I didn't let them win. And I'm glad I found a way to coexist with characters like that.
Okay. So at time of recording, I think you're 30?
34, but
34.
thanks.
Okay, so I'm 52.
Mm.
When I was learning to sell,
Yeah.
when I was working in London,
Yeah.
I worked with a lady called Jackie Martinelli.
Okay.
And Jackie Martinelli had, back in those days, big hair. Okay, she was tall, she was slim, she used to wear a pencil skirt
Nice.
and high heels to work, and she was always very elegant.
Nice.
And she took me out on one of her sales calls. I was the junior.
Mm.
And I sat in the sales call and she was with this guy and she's still looking perfect as normal. She wasn't a young, well, I was young, so she may have been 34.
Yeah.
She felt a lot older to me,
Yeah.
but very elegant.
Yeah.
And she said to this particular prospective client we were dealing with, Jonathan, when do you think we should go ahead and do the business?
Mm.
Jonathan said, yeah, I'm not quite sure right now. And she put her hand on his knee and she said, the sooner the better. And Jonathan went, okay, I think you're right. And signed the paperwork. Now, bear in mind, I'm a kid. I've never seen this before. And I'm watching this take place.
I love that.
And I came out of that meeting and I was like, wow, that's amazing. Jackie, you've got to teach me how to do that.
Yeah.
And she's like, darling, you're a man. You'll never be able to do that.
Yeah.
So women did the same.
Oh, I'm not saying
If-
they
if-
don't.
if you
Women
take-
do it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mum would always say to me, my mum's an attractive lady, still is to this day, very attractive lady.
Mm.
And my mum would say, you can get men to do whatever you want them to do
It's true.
business. It's very easy to do it.
Yeah, it's true.
So, yeah, as much as a guy might have said to you, you're there, you help because you're good looking, the good looking lady used that. And the fact you said it's true.
No, of course women do it all the time. It's not something I do. No, it's not something I do. And because I don't want it to happen to me. That's why. It's also the reason that I don't gossip, because I don't want people to gossip about me. So I try to be a good person. At least I try.
It's so funny because let me describe the person I've got to know. Okay, that's probably a nice way because it'll give context to our listeners and our viewers right now.
Sure.
So we've met a few times.
Yes.
Once we met the first time, we met a second time. Then we met at the time with Maria and the
Yes.
children from Bangladesh that we had iftar with, and that was the softer side of you I saw.
Yeah.
Okay, the other side, the other times I've seen you stern, almost formidable, and in fact masculine energy.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say as well. And so then when I did my research on you and I spoke to people about you, the people that know you describe you very differently to that person that I saw.
I'm sure.
Okay. And these people, how they described you was, no. You want to see her in a relationship. She's so mushy. She's so lovey-dovey in a relationship.
Oh my God, I'm going to kill this person who said this. You're ruining my game.
She's such a sweetheart. God, yeah. Oh man, no, that's not the real person.
Yeah.
So why do you? And I want to talk to you honestly about this because we're getting to know each other. Why do you behave the way you do in that kind of stern, forthright way?
Yeah.
When actually you're a little sweetie inside.
Yeah. No, there's honestly a really simple reason.
Okay.
I am abrasive. I was abrasive with you. I was harsh when I first met you.
Very.
Because some women love attention from men, and I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I just find it annoying. I find it irritating. Sometimes you just want to go out and just have a normal conversation where we can be same, and no one needs to hit on anyone. And I'm not saying you were doing that.
Thank goodness for that.
No, you weren't. But no, you weren't. But I'm so used to men doing that. It becomes irritating.
Mm-hmm.
So my natural first meeting or even second with a man is just harsh. So they don't even try. I'm almost pre-programmed now to be that way. And I don't want to be that way. I want to be my normal self. Of course it is.
Because you're stereotyping all men.
But you don't know what it's like having been through 10, 20 years, let's say 15, of constantly just being sexualized.
You mean hit on or flirted with and stuff like that?
Yeah. Because they don't want to see you in any other way when they first meet you. It's just tiring and it's annoying. So if I just put that boundary up when I first meet a guy, if they really, really like me, then they have to work for it. They have to work to get there, to get the real me. And then I'll know they're really interested because they worked for it. Or if not, they just leave me alone. We can be friends and have boundaries. And I don't have to go through all of that rubbish every time I meet a man. And in my business of biotech, it's 99% men, 1% women.
Okay, I can only talk from my own experience in life. Okay, so that's the only place I would come from.
Yeah.
Men have to earn it.
Yeah.
Men have to work for it.
Totally.
Isn't that a bit arrogant?
No, I think it's just facts. I'm not an arrogant person. Honestly, I'm kind, I'm giving, I treat people with love and care and respect, but why shouldn't men work for it?
Okay, I'm going to alienate a whole bunch of people right now as I explain this.
Yeah.
There's a certain country that I've visited many times. And when I go to that country, the people from that country are very cold.
Okay.
I had an office in the capital city, and I would walk from my hotel to the office in the morning and do what I would do anywhere else in the world. As people walked towards me, I typically would either nod my head or smile. If it's very early in the morning, I would say good morning.
Yeah.
Okay. In this particular city, people thought I was a weirdo and like a whack job. Nobody.
Because you're being friendly. Yeah.
They just looked straight through you with a cold, stern, unengaging kind of manner.
Me?
So I want to know, are you sure your parents aren't Russian?
Well, my ancestors might be. There's a strong chance. But actually, my parents are very warm.
Hold on, because I'm going to give the context because I don't want to upset anyone.
Yeah.
My wife is from Uzbekistan. She's Armenian heritage, but obviously from the Russian-speaking community. She runs a business here called the Russian-Speaking Social Club. So
lovely.
Very much involved in the Russian community myself. Yeah. But my own experience, as I've said to every one of them I've ever met, why are you so cold at first? You know, because you're adorable once they get to know you. You're just such wonderful, warm and loving and kind people. Yeah. The rest of the world doesn't see that because they don't get past that external barrier, which is what you described that you put up.
But if you see me with women, I'm very warm. I'm kind.
You're alpha.
Open.
You are so alpha.
I'm friendly with women.
You're alpha.
Oh, come on.
Let me tell you what goes on. I'll tell you exactly what goes on in a conversation with you and a woman you meet for the first time. Okay? The conversation starts. No words. Yeah. Okay? No words.
Yeah.
Non-verbal communication. Now listen here, young lady. I'm in charge. That's the non-verbal communication that goes. No, you don't say it. Okay? That's your demeanor.
No,
there's a reason for it. I'm not saying it's wrong. For goodness sake, it's you. I'm not criticizing it. But that's who you are.
I don't know what you're talking
about.
Good.
I've seen examples of people where two women have met before.
Yeah.
Not you, not anyone that you would know.
Yeah.
Two women have met before, and that one woman, without saying anything, has been the dominant one.
Okay, fair enough. Okay? I do that. Yeah.
Now, I've seen that very same person who was the dominant one then meet another person and then be the submissive one.
Yes.
And I just think that you walk into a room.
Yeah.
You walk into a venue, you hold yourself a certain way, you carry yourself a certain way, you look a certain way. Yeah. And again, I'm getting to know you, so I'm seeing the different person. But that person that you are at first, I think, is for some reason born out of some relationship with culture or some nurture that's happened to you along the way that's made you go assertive. And I think it's because you're shy. Yeah. I don't think it's because you want to be cold and assertive. I think you're actually shy.
I actually agree with you. Like I said, I am an introvert. I've never liked big crowds, big parties. You'll notice now that we're hanging out more, when I go to a party or a thing, I leave after half an hour. I just politely slip out. It's just not my thing. So it could be that I'm shy mixed with a sprinkle of my experience with men.
Joan Collins in Dallas.
I'll take it. So no, I think yes, I have to be assertive for XYZ reasons. From life has probably made me this way, but I am warm and kind and giving, and I can be submissive to my female friends or someone I'm dating, but it takes time. And I am an alpha, so I'm only attracted to men that are double alphas.
Oh yeah.
Because if they're betas, I will eat them alive. I have zero interest. I'll walk all over them. I need a double alpha, someone that inspires me, someone that's better than me, smarter than me, cooler than me.
And then, as my research says, you become a little bit schmoshy.
I do. I'm going to kill this person. I think I know who it is. I'm going to... Oh.
Anyway, let's move on to talk about work. You didn't think you were having this conversation today, did you?
Yeah, just wait. I'm going to get you back for this. Just wait.
Let's talk about work. Okay, saving the world.
Yeah.
There's being a change maker, disrupting things. They're all great things to say. I work with some people that their absolute mission has got to do with solving a big problem that exists on this planet.
Yeah.
Whatever that problem may be,
yeah.
They are obsessed with solving that problem and making the world better because of it.
Good, yeah.
Everything is secondary to that. People say, let's be commercial about it. How much money do you make out of it? It's like, I'm not interested in that. I want to solve the problem. Now, by solving the problem, they're making and building really successful businesses that are very profitable. But because their focus isn't on business, their focus is on the problem, they've enabled themselves to be really passionate about what they do and keep that passion there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So tell me about what you're doing to save the world.
So I'm actually not like the people you just mentioned, because my number one focus isn't saving the world. My number one focus is to create a business out of saving the world, not because I'm shallow. It's because you need money to continue running the business. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I'm running a charity here. So how I want to save the world is by investing in the most disruptive technologies out there that are way ahead of the curve, ahead of our time, and that will protect us from what's happening in the future. And by that, I mean climate change, which is a very serious issue to me, close to my heart, and also human health equity. Everyone deserves the right to health. And surprisingly, most people on this planet do not have that option. And I'm trying to close a gap. I'm trying to change things that way, because this is what legacy I want to leave behind.
Why?
I really care. I just really care. Look, I studied business and accountancy. I went to work for Ernst Young. My father's in real estate. The only reason I would disrupt everything and fight with everyone to change my life's path that my dad planned out for me is because I just really care. I am obsessed with science. Firstly, I've been studying it since I was 10 years old, and I really, really want to help people. You know how people do charity or people give money? This is my charity. This is how I'm helping. This is my creativity. My science is my art, and I get to mix that science into the whole universe. I get to make a difference. I get to contribute to evolution by also fueling my passion and my hobby, which is science.
Okay, let's talk about the business then.
Yeah.
You've got involved in a few businesses along the way.
Yes.
Which one are you most passionate about at the moment?
Ooh, most passionate about, I would say Biotech Bureau. So it's a recently incorporated company, a few years. And what we do is we invest minority stakes, say 10 to 25%, into really cool, innovative businesses. We help them fundraise, we help them list on the primary or secondary markets, and we get to scale businesses. We allow them to help them grow in a new disruptive way, because over the last 10 years, you get to know everyone in your community, in the science community, in the biotech community. People will come up to me and say, I have this amazing idea and no one's funding me. Or I'm at 10 million in revenue, I'm trying to get to 100 and the VC is not calling me back. And I just thought, this is so unfair. Why is it that there's such a big gap between PE, VC and the startup or the SME? It shouldn't be this way. And there's no one helping in between. You know what that does? It does not promote innovation, because that SME will shut down. They'll run out of money and the world will not move forward. It will go backwards. So this is my way, this creative, disruptive way with myself and a few partners of mine where we get to help the little guys become the big guys without the red tape, the bureaucracy, all the roadblocks, selling half your business, selling your soul. It doesn't have to be that way. Business doesn't have to be that way. And it's about time things changed.
Wow. Arguably, the people that don't raise the money don't know how to raise the money.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If you're the founder or the inventor or the scientist or the ideas guy, how do you know how to raise money?
Well, in my experience, let's say you and I were business partners and we brought different skills to the table and you were the inventor and the scientist and all that kind of stuff. My job would be to be the commercial person.
Yeah.
So my job would be to go out there and find the money that you need to carry on the research to solve the problem that you're trying to solve so we can build a company, yeah? And if you and I were both scientists and business partners, then we would have to find other people to come and join our team that were able to bring the skills required for that business.
Yeah.
The reason that there's a gap between the VC and the small business is because 9 times out of 10, that small business doesn't have all of the tools it needs to go and raise capital along the way.
Yeah.
If they fail, it's not because it's a bad idea.
Nope.
They fail a lot of the time because they don't know what they're doing commercially,
Yeah.
So are you saying you're going to step in and be that commercial step for them and help them through that process?
That's exactly it. Because if you have one skill set, how can you expect to do everyone's job? If you haven't studied business or you don't have that support behind you, how are you expected to know it? You can't learn this in a book.
I didn't study business.
No, that's fine. But you still learned it, right?
No, I found people that could do it.
Yeah, sure.
Because I didn't know how to.
Yeah, fine. But then what if you can't find someone?
Well,
Because
I
come across so many people in the biotech science innovation space, Silicon Valley, that are so clever, so smart, and they have no idea where to find people like you and I.
Okay, so I'll give you an example.
They don't even have the confidence to have that conversation because they're not financially literate, but they're geniuses in their own field.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Or they might have, a lot of scientists, they have ADHD, they are on the spectrum, they can't even have that conversation. They don't know how to. So why shouldn't we help them?
I'm not suggesting you shouldn't help people. I'm just trying to understand why anybody in business would be naive enough to go into business without realizing what's required.
I don't think it's naivety.
What is it?
I think it's just lack of experience. Because why shouldn't you, if you're so good at something and you have a way to change the world or change the satellite industry, why shouldn't you go for it? Why shouldn't you have the courage to go for it, knowing that there are opportunities out there to help you through that process? You can't possibly be able to do everything.
Okay, so let's take an example, and I'll put a company on the table for us to take an example with, and maybe we can run through the process.
Great.
It's not biotech, it's prop tech, so similar in some respects.
Nice.
So there was a lady, and she was part of the development team for Kareem. And Kareem was sold to Uber. Yeah. She walked away with a bit of cash.
Nice.
And then she decided she was going to buy investment property.
Okay.
Build up a portfolio of properties. That's what she was going to do. And so she started speaking to real estate brokers here in Dubai. And everyone was saying something different. And she sat there, because there's no data for her, she worked out that every salesperson was just trying to sell her what they could sell to make the most amount of commission.
Right.
So where was the advice? It was like just people trying to sell me. I've got to sit and work out what's the best investment. And she's like, I'm not a property investor. So she got really frustrated by that. She said, there's got to be a better way. Why can't we use data to do this?
Amazing.
And so she sat and developed a system where investors go to her platform, they put all of their information into the platform, and the platform, using AI and data, decides what's the best investment properties for them to buy.
I love this.
No salespeople. No real estate broker that's turning up half an hour late and all that kind of stuff and, being commission focused only. It's literally the system provides that, and a more cost effectively way than the big commissions paid to the brokers.
Very disruptive.
Disruptive because she was frustrated, like deeply frustrated. She's, hold on, let me get it all out because it needs full context. She's super smart, tech savvy, okay, has built the software out herself and a small team of people. Rubbish at raising money. Okay, doesn't know where to start, doesn't know how to do it. Okay. And she actually came to me from social media one day and said, I need help with some of my money. Can you point me in the right direction? Once we started talking, she told me about her business and I asked her what she was doing to raise capital. And she said, that's one of my challenges. I've raised this much so far. I don't know how to raise the rest. Is that an example of a type of company that you would help? And if it is, how would you then take, her name's Lena, how would you then take Lena, okay, onto the process of working with you and to the place she needs to go?
Okay, this is my ideal client.
Perfect.
So typically what she's probably being advised at the moment is raise money, sell some equity, go to an institutional investor or an angel investor. And what will happen is she will be selling her equity quite cheaply.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a shame. I'm against that whole concept, and I think it's very archaic and it doesn't need to be that way anymore. So I would speak to Lena. I would look at her books. We would look for a minimum of 2 years trading history, a minimum in a few million in sales, which I'm sure she's achieved so far.
No.
Oh, so where is she?
Not a few million in sales.
One?
In dirhams, maybe.
1 million?
In dirhams or dollars?
Dollars.
Maybe in dirhams, yeah.
In dirhams. 1 million dirhams.
Yeah.
Okay, so that for me is not a big enough proof of concept. I would wait for around $1 million in sales.
$1 million in sales.
In sales, yeah. In aggregate. It doesn't have to be in 1 year, even over the span of 3 years. And then when she reaches that point, I would look at listing her company, and I'll tell you why. It's such a great way, a direct listing is a great way to legitimize your company, have access to public markets, be more credible, get more clients, make way more sales, and scale your business without all the headache of selling half your company, selling your soul, selling your rights even, fighting for years to find some institutional investor to call you back. It's an uphill battle. And this is a much simpler, faster, easier, cheaper way to do it.
Okay, so let's go through the process.
Yeah.
Let's say they make a couple of $1 million in sales,
Yeah.
so we know the criteria.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you charge?
Yeah.
How do you make money, and how do they go onto the markets? And what markets would it be that they would IPO on?
Great question. So to answer your first question, I would look to take a minority stake, like I said, 10 to 25% for the work I'm doing and for my expenses.
That's not a small percentage, 10 to 25%.
Well, it's still a minority. I'm not asking for majority. And most VCs at this stage will ask for 49 to 51%. I know because I've been there. Wow. I've had offers of $30 million from one of my companies for 51%. I told them to F off. I had $25 million offered to me because I know what they're trying to do. Anyway, so I would go for 10 to 25%. I will pay for all the expenses to get that company listed. And this is how I would do it. I have a disruptive way of injecting cash into the business. I would do that. That's a secret I'm not going to tell you.
Why?
I'm not going to tell you.
What? How you raise cash?
Yeah, that's my golden formula.
Why?
I'm not going to tell you.
Why?
Maybe in 5 years, I'll tell you. To see how our friendship goes.
If I could take 5 years to find out, I don't want to. I'll have forgotten by then.
And then...
Okay, so you have a way of getting cash.
I have a disruptive way of getting money into the business.
Hold on a minute. So let's just understand this. So let's keep the numbers simple. Let's say you took 10%.
10%. Yeah.
There's 90% left between the other shareholders in the business.
Yeah.
Now, by bringing capital into the business, are you going to take further percentage?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm always against giving away equity of my companies.
Is that debt?
It's not debt either.
So describe what it is without telling me what you're doing.
It's a creative way to inject some working capital fresh into your business without taking debt. And I'm not going to tell you how I do it. Why do you keep asking me? It's a secret. This is my secret sauce.
Our audience would like to understand the mechanics there. That's all.
Then call me if you want to understand.
Okay.
So, right, we first inject some working capital.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? Maybe hire a few more people to make this happen. Then we look for which secondary market would be good for your listing. By secondary market, I mean where we can direct list via a reverse merger. I'll go into that after.
Understand.
When you do a direct listing, you are just selling your shares that you already have in the business. When you do an IPO, you are creating new shares that you sell to the public. A secondary market are already existing shares. Much simpler. So we would look at, for her, she's based in the UAE.
Yes.
So you look at the Abu Dhabi exchange or the Saudi exchange. They're both amazing exchanges right now. I have great experiences with them. They invest a lot into the companies. They want them to succeed. They're really hands-on. If it was a European or American company, I would look at the NASDAQ. These are all secondary markets.
Mm-hmm.
This is the untraditional disruptive way to get listed fast within 6 months. So what we would do is a reverse measure. You just find an empty shell that's beautifully wound up, no bad trading history, no dodgy members. Buy the shell and you're listed overnight.
Where does the money come to buy the shell?
From the working capital that I've injected.
Okay.
And if the shell is very expensive, because I did come across one really nice one on the NASDAQ that was about $2 million because it was so well wound up. It was a prestigious shell. And what I didn't want to pay $2 million for it, so I did an equity swap. So they now have a small shareholding in the shell. So they're winning as well. They're happy to do it. So we list. Then we start trading shares. All you need is a positive movement of shares.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can scale your business in such a beautiful way by escaping all the trouble and all the downfalls that people are experiencing. And you have a push. You have that ammunition to go take over the world, and you don't have to worry about working capital and cash and raising. The only potential downside is that you have to keep up with your reporting. You have to be professional. You are looked at 24/7. Your books, how you run the business. If you're the CEO, you have to be legitimate in everything you do. So that's a screening process that I have to go through with the client to see, are they going to mess up on that level? Because it does happen, as you've seen, because that can influence your share price. So that's what I would do with this lady. She's honestly my ideal client.
To go to that stage has to be highly compliant, highly structured, and highly regulated.
Yeah.
It's not just,
you can't mess about.
A real estate brokerage that's the number one seller for Emaar, that's turning over $25 million a year, that want to go public, but employs a bunch of commission-only salesmen, and a lot of it's on a wing and a prayer, and a lot of it's under the table.
Okay. Employing commission-only salesmen is fine. If anything, that's a great way to just keep your company lean. Under the table is not going to work. I cannot even get involved with anything like that because that's my reputation on the line.
And in a part of the world where corruption is rife, and we just saw on the news a couple of days ago the British people bringing cash over from the UK getting convicted. We know for sure that there's properties being bought here with crypto. We know that there are real estate brokers that have told me that they're changing money from different currencies.
And making money on the arbitrage and whatever.
And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In a place that has so much corruption, surrounded by very corrupt countries too. Pakistan, India, for sure, have a lot of corruption. If you go to East Africa, it exists. Well, corruption exists everywhere.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Very easily. I'll tell you why. I'm Pakistani myself, so I can spot a corrupt personality quite easily, I would say. Also, you said it yourself. You answered your own question. Corruption is everywhere. Now, corruption in this part of the world is quite obvious. Corruption in the West happens, if not more. They just hide it better. It's called a hedge fund. So everyone does it. And I don't see it as a roadblock in my business at all. I just stay clear of something that doesn't feel right. I always trust my gut in my personal life and my work life. And my gut has never let me down.
Mm-hmm. How many companies have you done this for?
6.
Okay.
I'm on my 7th now, which is a very exciting satellite company.
Okay, so these 6 companies, just give me the industries.
Food delivery company in Asia. One was an IT company. One was a fintech company. One was a science company. One was infection prevention. And the other one was, it was a hybrid between a lot of different things, multiple industries.
More of a holding company.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm quite agnostic to the field. What I look for is, what is a disruption? How strong is it? How scalable is your business? I need $1 million in revenue and we can talk.
Interesting. And have you now set a business up that does just that?
Mm-hmm.
And how much of your time does it take? If you start working with a company, so let's take Lena as the example.
Yes.
You're like, Spence, I've got to meet that Lena.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to
meet
meet
probably
her?
need to meet her anyway.
I do want to meet
So
her.
you meet Lena.
Yeah.
I'm the investor.
Okay.
So you meet Lena in the traditional way. and you sit down with her and it's, you know what, you look at what she's doing and you love what she's doing and it makes a load of sense. From the day that you say, right, let's get going, to a point of reverse merger onto a secondary market, what's the time?
So this is post due diligence. I've given the green light.
Yeah, let's say you've done 3 months due diligence and you got the green light and you're ready to go.
Okay, I'll do 6 weeks of due diligence.
6 weeks.
Yeah. Then, if we get the green light, I will inject the first amount of working capital in about 6 months. But I cannot give you an answer on when that listing happens. I'll tell you why. It depends on their sector and it depends on the climate. As we are now, I will probably list some companies by the end of this year. Next year, I need to see what happens next year because I look for certain peaks and troughs in the market of that country that I'm listing, and I will make my decision when to go in. That's all. But it's not going to take years, 1 or 2 years.
Okay. And how often do you get approached by companies to do this, or are you on the lookout for the right type of companies? Well, what's involved here?
So we get, as a group, we get pitched maybe 20 to 25 companies a month, and I'm always on the lookout for good quality companies.
And are most of them not?
Oh, we'll pick. I mean, one every 3 months we'll pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that 75? You'll pick one. Yeah. Okay. So you're
Yeah.
seeing a lot of shit.
I wouldn't say shit.
Okay,
You know,
that aren't in the right. So that's not fair.
Yeah.
You're seeing
Yeah.
a lot of companies that aren't ready.
They're just not ready for me. They don't fit what I'm looking for. You know, a lot of the times I find these really cool disruptive companies that have done $10 million in sales, and I cannot get on with the founder. It's so important for me to get on with the founder, not even the CEO, it's the founder, because if we can't get along, the business will not be a success. I tried it and failed.
Okay. And you say you're agnostic to industry.
Yeah.
So you're open to that. Tell me about the business itself. How many people are involved in the business? What kind of roles are involved there? Who's doing what? And who can people expect to meet?
So it's myself, and it is Alex, who I think you've met on the boat, the Serbian guy.
Yes.
Yes.
Is he in Abu Dhabi?
He lives between Dubai and Serbia.
Maybe I have.
Abu Dhabi, yeah. Well, next time he's in town, I'll introduce you.
Sure.
So it's myself, Sarah Madani, who you know,
Mm-hmm.
and Alex.
Okay, what does Sarah do?
She is the head of marketing. She's our CMO. Okay. And by marketing, I mean financial marketing. Obviously, it's not a B2C business, it's B2B. So she spreads the word with all of our international contacts, even politicians, heads of states, and that's how we get stuff done. Because sometimes we want to list on the Frankfurt exchange and we need to do it fast, and she'll be the one to get it done. Then Alex is our CFO. He is the most creative financial person I've ever met. He's our genius.
Okay, so he's the guy that's the.
But we all work together. You ask how many hours or how much time do I spend on this? I only work Monday to Wednesday in life. So I do everything Monday to Wednesday. Thursday is my weekend. It's when my weekend starts.
What? So why you're sat with me on a Friday afternoon?
But this is fun. This is not work.
See?
Right?
Good.
This is.
Wanted that. I was loading it.
I know. You were fishing. So serious work is Monday to Wednesday. So I get all my stuff done in those 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this your primary focus, or do you do other stuff as well?
I have one other focus at the moment, which is Fix. I don't know if I told you about our health brand. So Sarah and I are launching a health brand in about 30 days from now. I am so excited.
Health brand?
Health
and what do you mean?
Products.
What kind of?
Health products. So it's all disruptive products for the B2C market, for people like you and I to use in our everyday life. Every product is disruptive. It's backed by heavy research from the top medical schools in the world, and it's cost effective. Because something that was really pissing me off is that the most amazing products are only available to the 1% because they're expensive. And this is something that I wanted to change. And as someone with a science background, I know how science works. I know how much the chemicals cost. It doesn't need to be that expensive. So I just created a range of cool stuff that really works and everyone can afford. It's called Fix. And yesterday we just signed Wyclef as our last equity partner, which I'm very excited about.
Wyclef
Jean,
and he
the producer,
the music guy.
He's produced Mariah, Whitney, Everyone.
Right now, screaming at the women, their speaker. They can't go, Spencer, you idiot.
Spencer, you loser.
Too old. You should know who Wycliffe is.
You know, his background is music, but he's a friend. Sarah introduced me, and he is just such a genius at creating and launching companies. Mm-hmm. And I love his brain for that. So that is why he's going to be such an asset to the company. I can't wait to do our America launch because that's where he will be heavily involved. And we are going to come up with some really cool things. I'll invite you to the launch party.
There's going to be lots of people out there that are either watching or listening to this right now that are going, hold on a minute. I didn't know how to get my business to the next stage. I didn't know how to elevate that business. This sounds like something that I should be doing. I should be talking to Saba and her company. So what's the company called?
Biotech Bureau.
Biotech Bureau. And can people find that online? We've got a website that people can go to? Is that where they go? How do they approach you? Is that what happens? Because I know from this podcast this is going to happen, okay? And I know you're not here to promote it. I asked you to come and talk about this particular subject, but this is going to happen. People are going to say, whoa, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
So what's the best way for them to be in contact with your business?
Yes, so we have a website. Thank you for asking. It's www.biotechbureau.com. And you can reach me at saba@biotechbureau.com. That's SABA. If you do really fit the requirements, just email me a few lines, what you're doing, what your sales are, and let's talk. Okay,
so let's make sure that the wrong people don't message you.
Yeah.
Okay, to be able to be considered, they must be generating at least $1 million a year in sales, and they must be doing something disruptive.
Yeah.
That's it?
And scalable.
And a scalable business.
Yeah.
Okay, so scalable, disruptive business that's doing at least $1 million a year in sales.
Yeah.
Okay, so for all you guys out there that are watching this right now, bear that in mind, okay? If this is something that's relevant to you and it's something that you can benefit from, or you think that you can take your company to the next level with the help of Saba and her team, then get in touch. But be disruptive, okay? Make sure that revenue is coming in of over $1 million and make sure you do have a scalable business. Okay, Saba, thanks for coming to join us today.
Is that it?
I feel like we've got somewhere. I think we've got some tangible stuff from you today.
I can't believe you researched me.
Why can't you believe I researched you?
I can't believe it.
Why would I not?
How many friends in common do we have?
Who knows?
I need to check on Insta.
What about enemies in common?
I don't have any enemies.
I'm so keeping that as a mic break. I'm so gonna, Alex, you're gonna cut this up and you're gonna cut this up. This is that.
I don't have any enemies.
I'm amazing. I'm great. I don't have any enemies. Look at me.
They may think I'm their enemy, but I probably don't know who they are.
It's lovely chatting to you. As time goes by, we get to know each other more, and I get to see this real person who's behind it. And just to say at the end, you have communicated with me a few times now after coming to Iftar with Maria and the girls.
Yes.
I want you to know how much it means to me.
Thank you.
Sincerely, that you do that, and I know that we'll do some work with them, but it meant a lot to me that you took the time to come and spend the evening with them last time, and I'm really genuinely, I'm very grateful that you did.
No, thank you for including me. And by the way, I still wear the necklace every day. I bought this on the day that we got this for the girls, and I wear it almost every day if my outfit allows for it to be there, and it just reminds me of that day. It's just a gentle reminder to do more, so please allow me to do more.
That's really kind of you, thank you.
Pleasure.
Saba Yussouf's been on the show.
Finally.